This is Grace Lynn Keller with the Becker Business and Private Equity and Business Minute podcast. I am here with Rick Cass, who is a partner at RSM. Rick, thank you so much for joining me today. And I would love to hear what you are currently looking at as far as trends go in the private equity space.
Yeah, thanks, Grace. Glad to be with you. As you said, I'm a partner in RSM. RSM, for those of you who are not familiar, is the fifth largest firm in the United States focused on the middle market. And, a large percentage of our work is either directly for private equity groups or for portfolio companies that they own. And, when we work with those clients, right now what we're talking about seems to be a bit of kind of a broken record, but it really comes down to inflation, jobs, and interest rates. And when we talk about inflation, I think the last couple of days we saw a report that came out that January's inflation was a bit higher than we expected. And jobs continue to be filled at a rate that we are, somewhat unexpected as well. So inflation and jobs continue to rise directly with each other. And we think because of that, the interest rate environment will continue to be a bit, escalated, and we'll continue to see rate increases, at least for probably the next couple months. So, I think when we really boil it down, those three issues continue to be probably the biggest three that we continue to monitor and watch. And I think really, I think we talk about a lot of these things, and then we talk about, well, what can we do about them? And I think when we really want to get down to it, our clients that are pretty inquisitive, in terms of acquisitions and trying to grow their business, these things tend to kind of put a bit of a question mark out there if this is the right time to acquire a business or not. I still think transactions are still moving forward and happening. I think what we're seeing is that perhaps that sellers versus buyers market is maybe slightly shifting a bit towards the buyer, in favor of the buyer versus the seller, where 16, 18, 20 months ago was probably, most people would think of it as more of a seller's market. So I think that's a bit of a shift there. And then I think, I continue to strongly suggest to our clients that, the companies that have the strongest operating model, operate as efficient as possible, have very tight controls and processes when it comes to their, traditional business processes, and that can scale quickly because they're so well ran and organized. Those companies still are very attractive to buyers. And I think those companies still continue to find premiums out there for purchase prices and things of that nature. So our real recommendation to all of our clients is to really focus on your core operations and make sure that they're scalable and that they're efficient, and that you can really demonstrate that you have a really, really well-ran business and a great business model, and you can still kind of look to exit at a rate that you were expecting before. So I'd say those are the big three, Grace, and I think they've been the big three for a while. They'll probably continue to be the big three for a while, but that's really what we're watching.
Wonderful. Well, Rick, thank you so much for joining me this morning on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.